Awesome, and I see Dennie.
Hey, Dennie.
So Dennie is a Microsoft MVP, and I'm so excited. So Dennie, I'm so happy that I can introduce you. We know each other very, very well. We've been on calls so often. Sadly, never met in person, even before the whole Corona thing, right? That's too bad. And you'll talk about the future of web accessibility with Blazor. So that's a super interesting topic. And also Microsoft Cognitive Services. So whenever you're ready, let's take it away.
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm pretty excited to introduce you to a new kind of app accessibility that I've never seen before. Maybe because it doesn't exist before. Let's hop into that. So let's hop into that. I hope you are all excited as excited as I am.
Definitely.
Okay. So do you see my slides? I guess. I have to start sharing, of course. You can't see. I have to share my screen. Window.
I like that your virtual wallpaper, your virtual background is Duke from 2 years ago, Dennie.
That is very on brand. I love that.
I did it very special for you, of course. I love this.
We see your slides, Dennie. So.
Okay, good.
Perfect.
So welcome to the future of app accessibility with Blazor and Microsoft Cognitive Services. Something brand new, and of course, I'm Dennie Declercq, and let's see. In introduction, there's just a little screenshot of the demo that I'm going to show you today. It's what you will see further, and of course, you will see it live, and it's going to be a combination of technical and not technical. It's going to be a bit of vision, but I also want to show you the technical implementation. How did I build this? But of course, there will be some introductions before. So as I said, introduction, then I'm going to talk a bit about the basics of accessibility, and I'm going to focus with the basics on learning disabilities, autism, and a bit more like mental health situations. I'm going to tell you later on why did I choose these types today. Then I'm going to introduce you the future of app accessibility with the demo. Until then, you have to wait. And then, of course, I promise you I'm going to give you the step-by-step guide to make it yourself. So I'm Dennie Declercq, and in Belgium I have my own non-profit, DDSoft, where I'm the president. So I am founded, I have my own yard with 3 people, of course. And I am autistic, and I am an accessibility and even autism expert. And the last years, I traveled around the world as a conference speaker. I know there are virtual conferences. It's better than no conferences, and I love to inspire the community. But I have to admit I miss traveling, but I love that I can still investigate on accessibility and community stuff. So I'm a Microsoft MVP since the summer of 2019. My dad was making a song about the summer of 69, but I believe the summer of 19 was the best one. And I'm very active on Twitter with Dennie Declercq and the hashtag Dreaming is Believing. And I want to admit that even in the virtual conference thing, so in real life conferences or in-person conferences, being on Twitter to tell your love or even not so love about the speaker it's very easy, and it's something very common and very good promotion for the speaker. But if it's a virtual conference, more and more people directly just answer in the chat of the video stream. And it's not the same. So please, if you see something, if you like something, to of course do it in the chat, but also do something on Twitter, because this is more visible for a longer time. And maybe I make this mistakes too in virtual conferences to more use it in the chat. So just something to be aware of. So why do I choose Blazor and Microsoft Cognitive Service today? First of all, I never had a feeling with JavaScript. Personal thing. And I also never had JavaScript under control. And then the combination, that's the reason for Blazor. I really love the whole C# thing. And why Cognitive Services? Just the simple reason is there are possibilities that weren't possible before. Before that wasn't there. And I have to admit, it's really a true horsepower. Yeah, it's really a powerful thing. So that is the reason that I chose both. In fact, in the past, I never gave a talk about web accessibility. I only talked about mobile accessibility. Why? As a C# developer, I did it in Xamarin, and I still do it, of course. And because I didn't have the feeling for the JavaScript, and so I wasn't able to do web accessibility. And another thing, very important thing, text-to-speech wasn't possible on websites. But you will later see in my talk, text-to-speech is not the same as voiceover and narrator and screen readers. This is possible, but you will see the difference later in this talk. And the specific text-to-speech thing wasn't there. And thanks to Microsoft Cognitive Services, we just do that. So I'm going to give you some basics. I will do it very short because in half an hour is quite a short time span, and I want to show you the magic also. So as I said, there are a lot of disabilities, and neurodiversity and disability is a very broad topic. I choose these four with the reason the other kinds of disabilities, like people with blindness or, for example, vision loss and hearing difficulties, is really important too. But most of the accessibility is already working for them. So, by example, on websites, screen readers are there and are quite used and are more common and well known than some other kinds of disabilities. That's the only reason I make a subset. Nothing to discriminate within accessibility, of course. So I'm going to talk about learning disabilities, and these people see the words, but has a lot of difficulties to read in that. And every disability is a spectrum. So some people can read a bit words, some people really don't understand. So understanding, cognition, structure is really a thing for learning disabilities. Then you have autism spectrum disorder, so structure and confirmation. Really important for them, another kind of structure. And they believe need a lot more confirmations. Then you have dyslexia and reading. They have difficulties with reading. Yeah. And then you have mental health. People with mental health situations. Officially, it's not a disability, but why do I always include them if I talk about accessibility? Just because a lot of things are common and working for them. For example, if you make an application that works for people on the autism spectrum, it's very personalized for them. You struggle most of the mental health difficulties. That's the only reason. But I do it, and that helped. So I'm going to talk a little bit, just one slide, about the power of text-to-speech in mobile apps. As I said before, I'm used to be only to make mobile apps for accessibility. And the reason was text-to-speech, this very good thing. Text-to-speech, you can really click on controls, for example, here on buttons. And here you have for example, the yellow buttons, and then they can speak aloud what is in the buttons. And I make product in Belgium with this kind of mobile apps, and it really empowers people with learning disabilities to handle the mobile device. And then you say, oh, no, narrator exists, voiceover exists. I say, no narrator, no voiceover. For this kind of people with learning disabilities, there's a big difference in use case between narrator, voiceover, and text-to-speech. Narrator or voiceover, it depends on the device. For example, it's Google or Android use narrator and the other voiceover, but just the same tool. So that's really good, in fact, for people who are blind or have vision loss. And how does that tool work? That tool reads sequentially the whole screen from top left to bottom right. Of course, as you see the talk earlier today about the culture thing, if the culture setting is other, for example, in some Arabic states, then of course it will be from bottom down to top left, of course. But the difference with text-to-speech is this really good for people with learning disabilities and dyslexia. And this works on another way. How does it work? You click on a control and with the load. Specific what's on the control. You can imagine if you have a person with learning disabilities, let's say, they see the screen, they cannot read everything or not a lot, and they see the screen, and then the narrator or the voiceover reads sequentially in an order that maybe the focus really is not of the person with the learning disability. What does he need? What does that person need? Just a specific button on the app or on the side where they need it, and then where they load some parts. And that wasn't there in web accessibility. That's the, as I said, the future of web accessibility. So I'm going to introduce you the future of web accessibility today. That's what I want to do. But I want to warn you that there's really, really early bits that are just me, myself playing UX. It's not in production yet. It's really an inspiration. I cannot say if I give you code, I could show you the code, that it's really the best way of refactoring. It's just some playing and hacking on what's possible. So please know that, but it's just showing what wasn't possible before. But I cannot guarantee that are all the best coding practices yet. Of course, we're going to work to that. So we just play with it. So even, as I said, it's not published yet. I'm going to do it in the near future. But I'm just going to launch Visual Studio. And I'm going to hit run. I'm going to debug it just on localhost. The screen. And of course, the next steps will be, but you will see why it isn't online yet. You will see it very short. So just running. And I hope, but I believe the demo gods will be with me today. Of course they are. So here you have the website, and it's because our nonprofit is more and more focused on well-being and yes, kind of well-being and optimism and so. I want to build a demo just simple about a positive lifestyle. So you can just see the site, and you can click with the load. Did you hear it? Oh, Flo, so can you say if you heard it? I'm not sure if I click the sharing with audio. Did you hear everything? Hello? No, you didn't hear the demo. Okay, I just stop sharing and do sharing again. No problem. Honestly, I know what it is. I forgot something. I forgot if I have to share my screen, that I have to push one button more, 1 second more. Excuse me again. Yeah, really. So I'm gonna do it again.
Welcome to a positive lifestyle. Welcome on my website about a positive lifestyle. Too many people have stress that results in burnout, boredom, and depression. I want to give you 3 easy advices for a positive and happy lifestyle. On this site, you find advice on optimism, passion, purpose. Feel free to browse around for inspiration.
So you should heard it. I also see in the Slack. And then, of course, as I said in the talk, the screen readers read everything from top left to bottom right in this culture. Of course, if you want to make the best use of the text-to-speech thing, here in the pages optimism, passion, and purpose, I just add the speak buttons to lower parts, for example, just
Purpose.
so that you can read by.
When you are in your passion, time doesn't exist anymore and you feel warm and enlightened.
So that's the biggest difference. So that was the demo. What's possible and what I didn't see before. So just going to go to my slides again. I hope you are even excited as I am about that. So how do you do this? So, the next part of the talk will be the step-by-step guide to implement. So this is going to be the technical part of the talk. So first of all, we do it with Microsoft Cognitive Speech. It's a cognitive service in Azure. So you have to create a speech service. So we do a little demo of the speech service. Honestly, I have prepared a lot of beforehand, as I should do. But I'm going to show you the steps. You log into your Azure portal, you click on Create a Resource, and then you can go to Speech. But of course, you can also go for via the complete menu. Then you create a speech service. You make it, you fill it in, and then you create it. But as I said, I did that before. If you create this, then you have the keys. And the keys you will see later on. The key, I have to show the key. The key is really important because it's if you create one. And then I can do it and I can drop him directly away. So DD demo, by example. So pay as you go, we can say, then we can say the field here. We're gonna go for Western Europe. Okay, so come in the Western Europe. Okay, this can happen. Let me just do something. And I just do the speech. Okay, create. And then you see, and that's a good thing that I can show you because I'm gonna directly remove it. Then you can go to the resource. And then here you see your keys and your endpoints. And this you will need, or the key, I can't even show it because I'm directly gonna, you can show it or copy it, show, remove, regenerate, and remove the service because it's the demo, but this credentials you need later on in developing your product. So, and of course, I'm gonna delete it directly because it's live streamed on the internet and you never know. Maybe on a real-life conference or an in-person conference, it's a bit easier to show keys. I believe as speaker on a virtual thing, you have to be even more, So then you need in your application and your code, you need Microsoft Cognitive Services NuGet package. And then I have I like to use with the public static classes. So here I have the keys demo. Of course, I also have the real keys class with the key filled in, of course. You need the key one you need, and the region. And this with the connections keys, of course, to the Microsoft Cognitive Services. Then you need some code. You need I added a service, and the service is the synthesis to speak away sync. And you can put in a string, so the text, and that is. And that is so, you see the synthesizer you can make, and then you can, on synthesizing or you complete it, then you do it. You need a little bit of JavaScript for this demo, unfortunately, I can say. That block of code is needed to select elements in HTML. So in this example, we have to select the heading paragraph, the heading and the paragraphs. I hope in future versions of Blazor that will be, let's hope, that it's not needed anymore. So I pasted that snippet in the host.cshtml. Then, of course, you have your page code. You have to inject the runtime for the block before that you saw, and you have to do everything in the next slides. You need references to the elements. So you have to the elements that we are using today are the headings and the paragraphs. Of course, you can do it also in other elements, in other demos, or in other use cases. We need the @ref. So then we need the ref name, and then so this how this looks. And then in the @code block in Blazor, you also need to make a private declaration of the elements. So here, by example, is the demo of the heading of passion. We have the @ref, and then we also have the private element reference page head. And then you have the readaload method that we have. Then it's a private async task we made with the element reference as input. Then this block is just calling the info.js calls the element reference that you showed before. That's that snippet. And then you do the await, you do the speech.synthesizer speaker with sync with the content of that info from JS. And then I need to return the true. And then we have, of course, the event handlers on each control that you want to add that. For example, here we have the button, the event handler for the button with the head thing. Then you have the readaload, the page head, for example, and return true. So the rest is later on today. So I'm gonna back to the code because that's what you want to see. Slide is more as reference. So I have the keys demo. This I'm not going to show you the keys, but the keys demos. So be sure in the real keys class, this is just filled in. Sounds obvious. Then in the host.cs.html, I have that JavaScript block. Then we have the pages, for example, here, passion. We have the, so that's just basic. You have to say which page it is. Then you have to inject the JS runtime. So here we have the reference declarations to the page head. And then I made the paragraphs. I made it a bit more, the paragraph, I just count the paragraphs and not do the content of the paragraph because we can further optimize it. For example, just that you can read how many paragraphs you have by page. Just something to optimize in the future. And then, so in the paragraph, then you have the buttons. So you have the, we can have the arrow hidden too. You will see it later why it is. And if you work, you also have to be, of course, aware of people with blindness or vision loss who want to use your websites, and then they use ARIA is really important for screen readers, and they don't need that button to read aloud. The whole screen reader is reading aloud and on their way, and if they should read that button, it just should confuse them. So for those people, you have to say it ARIA hidden. That means ARIA don't do anything with that because they have another word called speech. So, and then of course you also have to meet your alt taxes as well as accessibility is. Then we have the references to the paragraphs, and then we have always the same button. Then the code block we have the private string input from JS. Then we have the element references that we need. We connect with a new instance of the class of the speech service. We have the readaload, and then we have per paragraph, just calling the readaload with the paragraph, and that's on the readaload. And then we have our services. So the CS speech service is the code to speak aloud, directly connecting to Microsoft Cognitive Services. So. One more time. The future. And this works everywhere. Is it Windows, everything, Linux, Mac, mobile device, if you want to deploy it mobile, or just want to go to mobile. So that's just a way of text-to-speech works everywhere.
Optimism.
Also, a very good thing is this is built specifically demo to speak at an international virtual conference or an international conference. Is in English, but Azure Cognitive Services provide a solution to do it in a lot of languages, and an example even Dutch. for example, if I want to make a website for Dutch customers or for Dutch people with disabilities from the Belgium or Flanders, it's really also possible in Dutch. So if you do that, you need to be aware of the basic HTML accessibility. So the use of alt, the use of the right order and the right numbers of headings, color contrast, ARIA, maybe more ARIA in a real functioning website. It was just a demo. And definitely on the buttons with the speech function, you have to use the ARIA hidden to not interrupt the voiceover thing. So I walked already over the code. So this was the demo, the talk about the future of app accessibility. So it's driven by Microsoft Cognitive Services. I did it at frontend and Blazor. I have to say the Microsoft Cognitive Services is working also in other languages. So, for example, if you just focusing on Umbraco, and today I attended already a lot of sessions, and I heard that it's built in AngularJS, and I'm pretty sure that it works nearly the same way. So calling the service on Cognitive Service is just the same. It's just another language typing, but you can do exactly the same, of course. And this is the future of web accessibility. Maybe there are some questions, and I try to provide some answers.
Absolutely, Dennie. Thank you so much. Thank you for the talk. That was great. Hey, I loved how you referred to some of the talks that were on earlier today. That's really amazing. Like, I've learned so much, and I've started connecting the dots. So thank you for that. What are maybe some of the things that were discussed in the talk that was previous to yours, like just before? I don't know if you managed to get all of the content of that talk, because maybe you were busy preparing your setup and getting nervous for your talk to start. But what are some of the takeaways from that talk that you're looking forward to that are implemented in Umbraco?
Yeah, I saw the nice CSS that you can add something that's really working to also for good and basic accessibility things. That was really great. Yeah. And I also saw. Yeah. And the other thing that I really saw, it was not in the accessibility talk, but it was, I think, the second talk of today was about
localization.
The whole localization, yeah, and that was really also something that's really important for accessibility too. For example, if you think about people with learning disabilities, it's really difficult for them to learn, for example, English, if they are people from Belgium. So that was really also an eye-opener.
Very interesting. And I mean, you're talking about the future of web accessibility. So what are maybe some of the things that are not addressed in Blazor or Cognitive Services yet that you would wish that they would implement?
Oh, so if I say the future, and just for Blazor, it would be nice if we just can be also eliminate that one block of a JavaScript code, but otherwise it's all there. Just the future has nothing to do with Blazor and with Cognitive Service, because the future is just all the websites worldwide. So I promise this demo, but you never saw this website. Never you saw it online on a working website. So it's not a Blazor of Cognitive Service thing. It's just to make people making aware that it's possible and start doing this. So it's stupid. But this future is more. It's already there, but I cannot call it reality because you see it never. So nowhere or no place you see it. So the future, they can build it already, but they just have to do it on as much. By example, I just want to refer back to the COVID, and I hate it to refer to that. But by example, if you the countries, by example, in Belgium, the regulations, the COVID regulations, it's incredible that it's not there. It's so important, the rules, what's possible, what are you allowed, you are not allowed, and this is just so important for inclusion because.
Oh yeah, 100%.
They have to ask everyone, and then they are very more dependent on other people. So that's really the future is more the technology is there, but it's just that the people just have to start doing it right now. That I mean with the future.
Awesome. And maybe you can share your blog in the chat once we switch to the next speaker, because I think it's an awesome resource and people should know about it. So you are totally allowed to plug your own blog there.
Yeah, but honestly, maybe on my blog I can do the link, but I didn't write a blog post about this topic right now because I want to introduce it on a conference so I can link my blog. I have a blog about, but the article isn't there yet. But I can put also a link to the GitHub repo where I share my slides. What can I do? I have a GitHub repo
Awesome.
with all
Definitely
slides,
do.
and they already have the code, for example. That can be pretty fast.
Thank you, and thank you so much again.